had today was a turkey sandwich, and I got the hiccups. That's really weird. I'm wearing the hemp robe that I made by hand ages ago. It's very comfortable. It's very cold outside. I like wearing it when it's cold because it's super comfortable. Excuse me. Funny story. You like this one? I think you will anyway. I know this guy. Met him at the store, and we were outside looking at his friend's Ferrari that he was driving. They swapped cars. He swapped his super high-end Corvette, and he was driving his buddy's super high-end Ferrari. There's a little knob in the middle, like a little chrome-plated plastic button, and he broke it off. And he's like, ooh, he's worried what his friend was going to think. It's probably, I don't know, probably like a $200 plastic knob in the middle of that super expensive Ferrari. Well, I found out a couple days after that his friend who borrowed his Corvette, the wheels on it are some sort of super high-end carbon fiber and something else. Probably some car enthusiast knows what it is. And the guy went too fast over a speed bump, and he wrecked one of the wheels. I thought, well, yeah, it's no big deal. You know, you wreck one of the wheels. It's not alloy, it's carbon fiber. Well, it turns out each one of those wheels cost $6,000. He's worried about the plastic knob on the Ferrari that he broke, but his friend broke a $6,000 wheel on his vehicle. Funny story, this broke yesterday, and I forget the name of the Canadian official. I watched the video like 4 times. There are 324 tools, I'm going to put that in air quotes, that are being banned in Canada. You got to turn them in. And I was reading down the list of all 320 of them. I actually read the list several times. But the funny thing is, the Canadian official, I'm sorry I didn't put his name down. He said that he said we're going to talk with Ukraine, see if they could use these tools for their efforts. In other words, this is official. This is not like hearsay. I want to know what you think of this. Canada, my God, Canada. You're talking about, well, you got X number of time to turn them in, or we're basically like, we know where you're at. We come and get them. But then he says we're in talks with Ukraine on seeing how we could give them. So you're going to take them from your own citizens in Canada, but you're in talks with Ukraine to give them. I'm sorry. I'd like to hear from you on this. I always get interesting ideas, some things that I had not thought of before. Sorry, I'm still recovering from this flu or whatever it is that I got. On how we could actually fix things for ourselves. Some of this stuff is pie in the sky. We know it's not going to happen. We can have idealistic goals and strive towards those. There's no such thing as perfection, and there's no such thing as utopia. Even if everybody lived to be 200 years old and had, free money and free food and, free luxury house, people would still be miserable because, you'd be jealous because your neighbor's wife is more smoking than yours. There'd always be something, Neighbor's house gets more sunlight than your house gets. It's just the nature of human misery and unsatisfactoriness of materialism, essentially. It's a substrate of any type of materialism. It can never be satiated. All desires are bottomless except for the desire for wisdom, which can be fulfilled. That's an ancient passage. That's not my position, but it's also too true. I'm going to go down a little list and tell me what you think of these and see what you could add to these. Because there's a lot of things wrong. Of course, there's endless things wrong in the world. Right now, there's a lot of things wrong. If it were up to me, which of course is not up to me, that nobody under the age of 40 would be allowed to vote for anything or decide anything or run anything. This would actually stop immaturity, and people that are unfortunately very emotional beings rather than rational and logical ones. So if you're under 40, you couldn't do it. If it were up to me, and of course I know it's not up to you, so you're like, it's a good thing it's not up to you. I know someone's going to say that. Is that unless you'd served 4 years honorably in the military, you shouldn't be allowed to run anything, and you shouldn't be allowed to vote. That would actually cut out a lot of nonsense. I mean, the mere fact that emotional, irrational, illogical people are allowed to, put the check mark next to anybody's name or decide anything shouldn't be allowed. You can go after me for that all you want if you like. Also, too, you couldn't in any way, shape, or form run for a higher office unless... this video, by the way, is not about politics at all. If you think it is, you're wrong. That you couldn't run for any office unless you served in special forces, for example, or served X number of years in the Marines. There should be, and other people have actually discussed this, it's very rational, it's the way it should be. There shouldn't be whoever wins is the person that spends the most money. What's-her-face spent like over $1 billion, wasn't it? It was over $2 billion, wasn't it? Wasn't it like 60 days? It works out to $16 million. No. It's like $150 million a day, something like that, were spent per day. Anyway, that you'd actually have a pot of money from which, collects to every election, and is split down the middle, and that's all you're allowed to spend. In other words, if you don't have a rational, reasonable picture and a sound argument to make why you're going to make things better for people and why you're going to actually serve other people. Term limits kind of goes without saying. I mean, do we need to even mention term limits? Also, too, these people should never be allowed to want to run on their own. Rather, a collective announcement is made such that these entities that are allowed to run are chosen by their fellow soldiers, fellow Marines, like minimum 4 years mandatory service, and you have to have a certain rank and be known as a leader who is self-sacrificing to serve your fellow men, that you're able to rise in rank rather than military politics, for example. So your fellow grunts or your fellow soldiers have to choose you. Apparently most of humanity across the entire earth has not figured out yet that nobody that wants power should ever be given power. It's like, this person wants power. That's the very person we should never give it to. For some reason, people haven't figured that out. A lot of Europeans, and especially a lot of Americans, confuse capitalism with corporatism. There's a huge difference. There's a lot of gray area there, but capitalism is not corporatism. These corporate donations and grift and all the rest of it needs to be banned. 75% easily, if not 80% or more, of government has absolutely no reason at all to exist. 80% of government has no reason to exist. All it does is generate paperwork and misery and more misery and clogs up everything, kind of like a giant TP clog, and you're you got to call out the plumber to snake the drain. That's all government, most of it, does. We should ban all bureaucrats from any ability to enact rules or enforcing same. Bureaucrats only push papers around in circles and keep the system clogged up rather than working. Need to put a ban on the current inherent bans and restrictions on inherent freedoms that our forefathers gave all for, give their last great measure. Simple things like fishing, hunting, doing what you want on your own land. Like, hey, I want to build a cabin on my land. You own the land? Yes, I do, but I need to get a building permit. Number one thing that should be banned immediately is property taxes. Property taxes, most of which, depending on where you're at, goes towards the super evil public school system, which is a propaganda camp in an indoctrination facility. Property taxes need to be banned. Current education, i.e. public school, is not education at all. We actually need to enact real education. We need to ban the Board of Education. There's been recent talk about that, saying they're going to ban the Board of Education, which would be really awesome. It's nothing but an evil teachers' union. Union is a French word meaning socialism. It's not literally a French word. Union is a French word meaning socialism. I am completely against all unions in every way, shape, or form. You could hate me for that all you want, but union is socialism. That's why the third S in SSSR is Soyuz Sovietsky Socialistic Republic. Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. Union is the first word. Soyuz Sovietsky Socialistic Republic. I've seen way too much unions. Unions destroy everything. UAW, which used to run that neat little facility that made things that had a little prancing pony on the side of it up in Hartford, Connecticut. I don't know if you know the company that makes these tools up in Hartford, Connecticut. Yeah, once they stuck the UAW symbol on the side of the box, that's when all quality went boom! Destroyed itself. The whole company just destroyed. The name exists currently, but the company is technically dead. It's like, well, sure, that company still exists, only in name. Kind of like Singer. Singer Sewing Machine went bankrupt, and a Chinese company bought the name. The Singer still exists. No, the name still exists. Same thing. Oh, I just got a message from Cali Girl. She says she's going to be in Kentucky next week. She's trying to get away from that. She's a teacher, by the way. I just got a text message. She's moving to Kentucky. She's a teacher. She's a good teacher, unlike the rest of the teachers. She says she's heading over there. I'll have to ask her later, what's she doing. I think she's going to go house hunting. We need to force true, I hate to use the word force, but we need to force true education, which is learning how to think. We need to enact genuine learning from masters of wisdom, which is not done anymore. There's a really, really good side of this. I've talked about this endlessly before. Here she goes. Proclus, Iamblichus, Plotinus, the list goes on. It's time to actually have a true education, which, by the way, and this is the good story, for people that everybody hated this about public schools. It's not that they were lazy and they didn't want to learn, it's that it was garbage. It was about memorization. You can actually cut down the time it takes to give someone an education by 70%. Well, and this sounds fantastical, but I mean this seriously. This is not some idea that I have. I mean this is real. I've proven it over many, many years. You can cut down the time to educate somebody, cut 70% off of it, and give someone a true education so they're not only infinitely better educated and have a much sharper mind, but you've cut off 70% of the countless years wasted indoctrinating kids with absolute trash and garbage. People need to be taught, especially at a young age, to stop presenting their own worthless opinions as facts. Everybody out there is confused about beliefs, opinions, facts, or doxa. Yeah? Opinions, conjectures. And it's great, like I got an opinion about my favorite food, my favorite clothing, and, I got an opinion why, my wife is so lovely and I love her. Stuff like that. That's all valid. But when it comes to demonstrable, objective, empirical facts, people need to stop presenting. I've encountered this for decades. I've debated people say, we're debating topic X. I'm making a direct reference to what is demonstrable. In the case of some things, it's book and verse citation. It can't be argued. This is the facts. We're not talking about your opinions. Are we talking about what the topic we're talking about? Or are we talking about your opinions? And the fact that so many people out there, none of you were taught that stuff in high school or college. I was just on live stream like 4 days ago. A guy came in, I have a PhD in physics. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to debate you. And the whole room was watching. It took me less than 5 minutes, you know, to to turn the guy upside down. All of a sudden he was copy pasting stuff off of Wikipedia. He had nothing intelligent to say. It's like you spend a lot of time being brainwashed to believe in things without thinking about them, understanding them, being able to rationalize them with logic and facts. I'm completely against taxes, but how much healthier would humanity be? I got fat off of regular food. I don't ever buy Cheetos or Doritos or Pringles or candy bars. I don't know if you look at me and you think, oh, that guy's fat. Yeah, he's eating candy bar. I got fat off regular food, okay? I did. I haven't bought a candy bar probably in 40 years. I never liked sugar. Processed food should have a triple tax, like Cheetos and Doritos, and it's like, well, there's the food of poor people. The poor people are going to starve. We need to subsidize healthy foods. Anything that's healthy and natural should get a subsidy from the government so that all people, no matter how poor or rich they are, can afford to buy healthy foods. I've stopped eating processed foods. I eat very little processed foods, believe it or not, but I've stopped all processed foods as of roughly about a year ago. Still fat, losing weight slowly, but that's because I'm buried behind the computer too much. Everybody should be forced in a real education to learn at least 3 trades. It's good to be intellectual, and I am extremely so, but being able to build things with your hands gives you a level of 3-dimensional thinking and thought processing that's extremely helpful in life. There should be laws about banning things like planned obsolescence, where things are designed to self-destruct after X number of time. Companies do this so you'll buy another one. It worn out, I gotta go buy another one. There should be laws against planned obsolescence. We need to stop fractional lending. We need to stop usury. I don't know what usury is. That's where you charge exorbitant percentages. Like you go to the check cashing store and they charge you 10 zillion% interest. We have to stop the meat grinder of bureaucracy. There's actually way more of that in Europe than there is in the United States. The Americans love to complain about the evils of meat grinder bureaucracy. Like you get trapped in it, and it goes on, and it's like, oh no, you need to go to office so-and-so up on the 3rd floor, and they send you to another office, and then they send you back to the first, that kind of evil bureaucracy. There's way more of it in Europe than there is here, but there's way too much of it here. We need to stop this meat grinder of bureaucracy. It just makes people's lives miserable. I love it when people talk about draining the swamp, because underneath the swamp is another swamp. And below that is just like the emptiness of space or so. You can't drain something that is inherently something. It's like, this is the swamp. Well, I'm going to drain it. Well, you can't drain it because it's the swamp. How are you going to drain it? There won't be nothing left. It's kind of like, doing some sort of radical medical procedure or something. I've cured him of the disease that was like, yeah, but doctor, he's not alive anymore. Yeah, but I cured it. The disease isn't spreading anymore. It's like, yeah, but your treatment was so radical that the patient isn't alive anymore, doctor. Yeah, but I cured it. You can't drain the swamp. It is the swamp, by definition. Here's a great movie. It's more of a documentary. It contains hundreds of quotes. It's called Hidden Faith of the Founding Fathers. I kind of laugh at the idea that the United States was built upon any religion or the Bible. It wasn't. The United States was built upon the writings of Thomas Paine, such as Common Sense and the Age of Reason. I'm not a big lover of Thomas Paine's writings. They're not very pithy compared to the really serious stuff that I read. And trust me, I read some serious stuff. But it is Thomas Jefferson, who wanted the Gospels not to enter into the United States. I don't know if you've ever heard of, it's called the Jefferson Bible. Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Adams, the second U.S. president, John Adams, right? Benjamin Franklin, the founding fathers. This country was not my opinion, not built upon Christianity. This is a quote directly from Thomas Paine. I do not believe in the creed professed by, I'm not going to use the word, starts with a J, that church, the Roman Church, the Greek Church, the Turkish Church, or the Protestant Church, nor by any other church that I know of. My own mind is my own church. All national institutions of churches, whether J or Christian or Turkish, appear to me to be no other than human inventions set up to terrify and enslave mankind and monopolize power and profit. How true, how true. He said his worst fear was at being left alone. Turns out in his last days, what the Christians did, and there's much evidence for this, is they wanted him to recant, kind of like they did to Joan of Arc and other entities on the stake. Recant! William Wallace. There's a lot of entities. Recant, recant your position, confess your sins to the Holy Roman Empire, yada yada. He was hounded by Christians, fear-mongering him that he was going to be cast into, the eternal fires, and that recant everything he believed and wrote about was wrong. The reason why they wanted him to recant before death, and this is the reason why he surrounded himself with his true friends, is that they wanted to know that he never recanted, and even up into his last breath, he did not recant. And the reason why is they knew that he was the foundation or the rock upon which the United States was founded, and also to the Declaration of Independence. He was the epicenter behind Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, on and on and on. Anything that wishes to spread itself like a virus is wrong and evil by default. Like people that come knocking on your door. It's like, wisdom is its own reward. If you actually try to spread it to others and it makes you happy to spread it, then it is like a virus. Hello, we'd like to convert you to the teachings of our guru, Bada Bing. And like, no thank you. These are the beliefs, of course, of small men's and their weaker mind. It's the reason why the Jefferson Bible, I don't know if you know what the Jefferson Bible is, but he took all the fantastical, irrational nonsense. He actually took not a box cutter, but he took a razor to passages, and he made the Jefferson. He took all the fantastical nonsense and the miracles and the pure birth and the resurrection. He took all of the irrational, non-reasonable, common man, i.e. the beliefs of small and weak minds, as he put it, the beliefs of weaker mind. He took that out and he made the Jefferson Bible. He leaves out the miracles and the resurrection and other hyperbolic nonsense. Here's a universal truth, and it is irrefutable by anybody, any belief, or any faith, and it's 100% set in stone, and it is unassaultable. And it's a quote from me, and it's a quote about getting to the nitty-gritty of things, that anything that has a beginning in time or a beginning in a person, in other words, we didn't have these truths until Guru Bada Bing came along, can't be true. If it's not universal without time, and it is not universal without, part of pure reason and logic. You can't have someone, well, there was no truth and nobody was saved from, eternal fires until Guru so-and-so came along and you professed your faith in the Supreme Guru. That it can't be true. It can't be true by definition. It's completely 100%, 1,000% utterly impossible. He has a beginning in time and place or person, i.e. guru, so-and-so. It can't be true. It can't be a universal truth. It can't be. It's just utterly impossible. Hello. Still recovering from the flu. Utterly impossible. Mere belief, of course, is the lowest form of weak minds. There's a huge difference between mere belief and genuine rational reason. Here's something else, and I actually find it offensive anybody ever accuse me of being a Mason, because I am not. I absolutely am not, and I find that insulting. I just had to state that. But the Declaration of Independence, you're not taught this in school or college, but you can go look this up. It's written, you know that little white linen that the Masons wear around their waist that has a whole passage from the Bible? And there's a reason why several other religions believe in wearing the white linen. I don't care about any religions. But the Declaration of Independence, symbolically, was written on the bleached lambskin apron. The Declaration of Independence, girlfriend, is written on a lambskin apron. What you do is just tilt it 90 degrees. There's a whole symbolic history that goes way back, thousands of years. It's not written on paper. It's not written on linen. It's written on white lambskin. It's an apron. Reason without wisdom can be used, alas, unfortunately, for great destruction rather than ability. Reason is not the last. You have to have wisdom to exercise reason. A lot of people wield, you know, the double-edged steel of reason in bad ways. They have no wisdom. You can actually use things in bad ways for destruction, unfortunately. So you actually have to have wisdom. I mean, this age of reason has been completely lost. Now, in this world that we have, whether it be the America or the United States, you just have two people left. You have, you know, you have the weak-minded faith followers, and then you have these atomists and nihilists. And that's unfortunate. We need to have a rational world again. Everybody, I don't care if they're, you know, if you're a freedom-loving person that loves liberty and freedom, they look up to Washington and Adams and Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin as founders of a divine document. But these people were in no way, shape, or form. And also, too, it's called the Treaties of Tripoli, Article 11, where Jefferson said the United States is not a Christian nation. You should look that up. The Treaties of Tripoli is Article 11. The United States is not founded as a Christian nation. These people were rationalists and those of reason and followers of the writings of Thomas Paine, The Age of Reason and Common Sense being his two primary works. There's nothing left. You have the faith followers and you have these sensualists, materialists, and nihilists, and that's kind of like a recipe for destruction. There's no enclave of rational, reasonable people anymore. I mean, there's extremely few. I count myself among one of them. Whatever you think of that one way or another is not my concern at all. It's a great place to be. Tell me what you think. Although some of these things that I've said are pie in the sky. They're not going to happen, and certainly not so in our lifetime, but kind of like we're headed over the edge of a cliff on a bus with no brakes, because there's just no rationality in the world, hardly anymore. I wish that weren't the case, but unfortunately it is. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.